that I have to do so much work in terms of micro. But that's one thing I'm trying to improve at the moment, just trying to get the SCVs, because once I reach that inevitable point where I completely forget about SCVs and I'm just trying desperately to make Marines and move units around the map, make sure I've got as many SCVs as I can before that point occurs, and even then try to at least build a few SCVs and just keep up the momentum with that. So a few Zerglings out in front of my base to try and kill the tanks. That tank is very, very damaged. I want to actually take an SCV up here and repair it, because that'll save me a lot. You really want to keep as many units alive as you can at this sort of low economy point of the game. It hasn't really sort of headed into the complete mid to late game yet. I'm just heading into the mid game now. Well, mid-game in terms of the timing of the game. I mean, I've got late tech, so technically you could say it is late game. My SCV has found its expansion location, so next I want to be thinking about how to deal with that. One thing I'm worried about is him massing up units around the map and just rushing straight into my natural as soon as he sees me leave. That's one thing I always get worried about against Zerg. So it always pays to keep a few units behind, make sure you've got bunkers, and make sure you've got reinforcements coming. That will solve that. And I've got a dropship here. Plan there is to engage his forces and only drop him once I expect to actually have a fight to try and distract him, because it's going to be much easier for him to prevent it. And there are some lurkers there, so I'm not going to stop that dropship from heading out to space. Hopefully he'll be busy avoiding my main force with his lurkers, and I'll be able to get a few kills with that dropship. But unfortunately I'm behind on supply depots, so yeah, I can't do everything perfectly here. And there's the dropship heading in just as planned. I'll use that diversion actually to head around to the bottom left, getting a number of drone kills here, so that's really handy. Want to send the dropship back though, just to give myself an opportunity to make another drop somewhere along the somewhere later into the game. Make sure I'm not behind on SCVs at this point, and really want to start building more Marines. But one thing I've decided to prioritize here is attacking this third base, just making sure I get a lot of kills. This drop's going very well. Looks like I managed to take out that gas, so very handy. And hopefully I'll get his third gas over here. This is going to be his second gas now that I've taken out his first. He hasn't got too many drones there, but of course if I leave that expansion alone for any longer, he's going to build a lot more. And here come the lurkers. So unfortunately for him, he's in a bad position. I'm able to really smack him as he comes down the ramp. So this is good positioning here for me. Just got to keep the Marines stimmed. Unfortunately, a few Marines are targeting his base instead of his lurkers. Make sure the scans stay active. And there, I've killed a lot of lurkers. I don't need to commit the Marines anymore. The tanks have got range, and that's his whole force dealt with. So feeling very optimistic at this point that I've dealt with that. Unfortunately, that little micro war kept me behind on the macro management, so really got to get back to building SCVs, got back to building Marines. Looks like he's desperate to stop me from taking out this expansion, moving in with more Hydralisks, but very fortunately for me, he's attacking piecemeal, so this will enable me to keep holding him off until I'm ready to take out this hatchery, which looks to be right about now. Back at base, we've still got 6 barracks heading along. Really want to get a few more barracks at some point just to spend my minerals. This group appears to have done its job, so just unsieging that tank. Want to attack his main again with that dropship. Hopefully he hasn't really caught on and built any scourges, but we'll see how that goes. Desperately trying to keep my macro up, but yeah, just trying to play as fast as I can. As you can see, I'm not sure if you can see the APM counter at the top right of the screen, but it's quite low. My APM in games like this, it's just because I'm a bit clumsy with moving around the screen and using hotkeys and stuff. So my APM's really only about 150. And ouch! Lost that dropship. So I guess he had really planned ahead, realizing that I'd saved my dropship from the first time around and decided to get some defense there. I'm not sure what it was that actually took out my dropship there. Might have been a few Hydralisks, might have been some Scourges just hanging out there. But unfortunately, that's denied me the chance to do any more killing. Usually I wouldn't waste an Irradiate on an Overlord, but I've decided to take out that Overlord with an Irradiate just because I really want to get rid of it. I really want him to be kept in the dark as to where my troop movements are, as to when I'm moving out, when I'm not, when I'm just hanging out my base. So killing that Overlord will really help. I know he keeps an eye on it. In the meantime, just macroing up. I tried expanding at the top left, but he's scouted very well with the Zergling there, so props to him for doing that. got this small group of units which have been left over from that expansion attempt, so really want to link them up with my current force, but I just don't know where his units are out in the middle of the field at this point, so that's going to be my next point of call, just to try and find out where his army is. Hopefully I don't just run over them if there are tons of lurkers burrowed everywhere, but I know that he's a little bit light on units because he hasn't got an expansion, and I had a successful drop take out one of his gas geysers, and he lost a lot of units piecemeal to try and prevent me from killing his expansion, so he shouldn't have too many units to kill me with at this point. Heading down with a sizable force from the top of the map down to the bottom, this hopefully should be able to link up with the original force that I had there, so yeah, there's no units in between the two groups, so I'm able to bunch up, head down to his natural and try and put some pressure on, expecting him to flank me at this point, but if I have my units spread out, lost the science vessel, so that's no good. Unfortunately I didn't sweep it away in time, but expecting him to flank me at this point, I want to spread out Marines and just try and get as many kills as I can, and hopefully after he does this, here he goes, so attacking him with lurkers. And after this fight, if I manage to fight my way out, which it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to do, then I win. But if not, then hopefully I'll get enough kills to... Oh, that actually didn't go very well at all. What I was hoping to do was really cripple his army. And usually at this point in the game, Terrans can rebuild their army a lot quicker than the Zerg player. If the Zerg player doesn't have an expansion, he has actually rebuilt his expansion down the bottom left. So, but I mean that's cost some money, and he hasn't really got the expansion really kick in for him yet. So the plan really is to try and just keep macroing up as much as I can, and just see if I can swamp his natural with units. But then again, my macro management hasn't been that brilliant either, as you can see. Just a bit of a tough game. It's a bit sloppy stuff, but I mean this is the best I can do sometimes. Unfortunately, it's not really good enough against a better player. But tough stuff indeed. Heading out another unit, taking out an overlord there. I don't think he's really built a huge number of units or really gone to hive tech. I'm not really worrying too much about ultralisks or anything like that. Heading down here, just want to scan it, see if he's got a whole bunch of drones there. He hasn't teched up to hive, so I know that I'm fairly safe against hive tech units. I can take a bit of time in the mid game to try and knock out his expansions, which I'll try to do. But just actually having a change of plan. Decided to change my plan because I saw his hydralisks down there, and after that happened, getting a few kills with that Marine, but unfortunately that drop didn't go well. He's really prepared for those drops now. Just keep trying them, just to keep pressure on him, make sure he's keeping some units back at his main. That's about all I can do with those drops. But what I've decided to do here is, instead of attacking his bottom left, because he saw that, I saw him move some hydralisks down there, and he expected me to go over there, and I killed an overlord. Since he expects me to be down the bottom left, I decided just to mass up some more forces and head for another push into the natural. And hopefully this one goes a bit better than last time. Unfortunately, running in with units that have been poorly micromanaged. I think I've accidentally got a barracks rallied to that point or something like that. Hopefully not. But luckily I've got 5 tanks, and that should be enough to do some serious damage on his lurkers if he tries to contain me. And I've got more tanks incoming. Luckily my macro management is starting to kick in now. I've got a lot of resources piling up. So the other thing I expect him to do is flank me a second time, because he knows that works. He knows that'll stop me. So I'm putting some mines down at that little ridge there where I expect him to head in from. And if he just flanks me from one direction, then I should be able to take him out with all of those Marines. So we'll see how this goes. And I've got a lot of tanks there as well. Just making sure my units are all holding position. He's got a lot of units there ready to flank me, so let's see how this goes. I'm trying to rebuild forces, keeping an eye on the mini-map as well, and just waiting for him to attack. You've got 7 tanks. Finally my other 2 tanks have arrived, so this is looking really good. If I can move in with the 7 tanks and just keep my units sort of a little bit sparsely spread out, but not too spread out, so that I can defend when he comes in. Here comes the lurkers now, so this is his so-called flank, and he has actually come in from the side rather than going through those mines. So stemming up the Marines. I've got a lot of tanks here blasting away. Looks to be going pretty well. And just making sure I've got reinforcements coming when this attack either fails or doesn't. And I managed to get a mineral on the expansion, and luckily taking out all of his lurkers. That's a GG. So that game went fairly well, and able to send my SCVs over to the mineral line, even if he hadn't GG'd. So a decent game, fairly interesting. Interesting map, Byzantium. hopefully you've got some more games coming for you. Thanks for watching, guys.